What is going on? I hope that whoever's tuned in is okay. And I just wanted to hop on and talk about this Mars transit. So, the last time this Mars transit came through, it was almost 20 years ago. Mars and Libra. And I have a Libra Mercury, and Mars exactly conjunct my Mercury, my South Node, and my Mercury are conjunct. So I just wanted to get on here and just be talking like about like is anyone else like going through conflict? Like I mean like not just conflict, but like to the point that you have to like kind of no to the point that you had to snap on people. Like you had to learn and understand your anger and what it can get done because I was already going through something with my Martian energy. And everyone is not an Aries sun or a Scorpio sun or a Scorpio Mars. You know, everybody don't have Martian energy. You know, just normal Martian energy where they've had years and years to culminate and to really get used to, you know, how to operate with anger, to operate with desire, to operate through, like, to operate with your desires and how to feel it, and to make it useful, not destructive, not to understand how to use the anger. I feel like Aries, it takes time, but Aries master, you know, the mastery of understanding is Scorpios too. But you see, I have a Libra sun, Mercury Libra. I do have a Mars in Capricorn, but it's very late degree. And to just be quite honest with y'all, like I'm so serious. Like this transit conjunct my North Node. Like Mars just conjunct my North Node. No, my South Node. Sorry, I have a North Node in Aries, so Mars literally conjunct my South Node. And that same day, I got into an argument, and in an argument that typically I was like, what? I know damn well this is not happening. I know this is not happening. Like, I'm just like, what in the. It happened. It happened. And I'm noticing more and more as a Libra sun, Mercury, and a North Node Aries. And I don't have any fire in my chart outside of my Saturn is in Sagittarius and my Uranus. Outside of that fire energy element in my chart, I'm not used to that. Like I'm not used to the fire element at all. You know, I'm not, and it was crazy. I'm just like, I don't know. Well, I do know because I get it now with understanding just how it works, like how astrology works, how things work, where you just kind of be like pushed into things in the transit, especially when you're not familiar with a particular element. So I don't know. Even if you have a Mercury Mars, I mean Mercury Aries, you may be like, oh, that's basic. Oh my God, what are you talking about? You know, or just say that you have whatever position, natal position that you may have in fire. Please know that everyone does not have that. It is not common for everybody. And I'm just on here, y'all, just talking. I'm just on here jiving, talking, you know, but I'm just being like, you know, I'm just wanting to express, like, and I'm pretty sure others can relate. Especially those who like elements. Like when you truly like certain elements and you experience it for yourself, when certain transits come through, especially if you have a North Node in an element that you lack, and the North Node comes through, and then you just like, oh my God, like what the hell is going on? You almost feel like a victim. It's like, God damn, universe, you ain't have to do me like that, because you can't read that in the book. It's just like, you know, so it's like, so I have Mercury in Libra, and Mars conjunct my South Node exact. And then the same day, I got into an argument with some random lady at a doctor's office. some random lady at a doctor's office. I'm like, this is not. But I was just like, and then it makes me seem aggressive because of my Mercury square, Mars video. But I'm telling y'all, like I have quite a bit of Libra energy. Like it is not like that. Like I'm typically like logical, rational. Like can we talk this through? Especially since I'm grown, girl. I'm an adult. Like, girl, you got me feeling like we need to fight. Like, what are you doing? And she was just like, anywho, I don't want to get into that because it's gonna make me upset. Like, I just couldn't. I was appalled. I was like, what in the world is going on? I just couldn't believe it. That is sincerely my experience with a Mars conjunction transit. No, I've never experienced anything like this before in my life. I was like, this is not what in the world, and it's validating. You know, just it's not like I wasn't validated before, but it's like this is not really happening. This can't be happening like this on a day that like it's an exact conjunction. It happened, and I can tell you this. You know what? My own experience with Martian energy, because I also have a Scorpio MC, 10th house. Venus is there. Saturn was supposed to go to the 11th house. Saturn didn't make it to the 11th house. So Saturn is right there with my Venus, right? And then I have a Mars Capricorn ascendant, late degree Mars. But I have a lot of squares, y'all. Y'all already know in my other videos. I have a lot of squares. I have a moon in Cancer, a Sun in Mercury in Libra, and I gotta like I'm learning that I have to learn how to be like a sensei through these like signs like throughout the day, because it's almost like when you have a ton of oppositions and squares, it's almost like to the point that if you aren't owning that, okay, this is me, you will project certain things if you're unaware, like if you're subconscious, right? If you're totally subconscious and you're kind of like not understanding energy work, and you're not understanding how deep energy work goes, because energy work goes deep. And I have a multitude of different people at different levels of your spiritual journey. You know, even 2 years ago, I didn't understand what I know now. So I'm like explaining to what I know now. Like, spirituality is not about reading some books. Like, it is not just about reading books and just like going on fast. And it's not about just, eating right and being nice to people. You know, just kind of like Christianity, whoever it came from, that background of you are Christian. Like spirituality, when you get into energy work, it gets deep to the point that, say that, hey, thank you for coming through. I appreciate you so much, hon. Thank you for coming through. You're always so supportive. What you up to? I was just talking about my Mars transit experience. Where's your Mars? What sign you have Mars in? Listen, it's almost like when I first started, learning this. I started in religion, but I first started like thinking, it was just like a practice. Like, you eat right, you just like be nice to people. You treat people good and stuff, and then you just like holy, like God will accept you. But with astrology and learning, like, and then you're actually experiencing certain transits, it's just like you see this play out in front of your eyes, and I'm like, what in the world? This is not real. I'm just like, man, if I didn't understand about, even with the Mars transit on my South Node, and that lady at the office, I'm like, oh my God, she kind of whiplashed me back when I have not gotten, I have not gotten into conflict with anyone in a long time. You're Sagittarius sign. I'm just like, I have not gotten into no conflict, but now I'm real with my mark. Man, this lady, I'm at a doctor's office. I'm just like, man, this lady got me messed up. I almost went to, and I'm like, I had to remember. But in my Christian walk, I'm just like, I'm now, but it's just like with these transits, and then when you are aware, and when the transits come through, especially with a significant one like I got, with that I'm having right now with Mars on my South Node. 7 grams. You're gonna have to send me your birth information so that I can look up your chart. But man, it is just something else. I'm just like, ain't no goddamn way this is going on. And I was mad, and I had the nerve to wear red. I had on a red shirt. I had on a red shirt that day, and it's just something else when you're doing things subconsciously, and it's almost like spirituality and understanding how deep it goes. And I'm a Scorpio midheaven. So a lot of my research and things like that I really get involved in, it be deep. It be deep. And a lot of shit I didn't even realize what was really going, what it was going to come to. But it's just me. And it's so true about your nature. And it's so true about your nature with astrology. I'm telling y'all, like, it is something else. And I'm like, it is something else with these transits and stuff. And I'm like, this is not going on. I'm like, this was not in the Bible. And I know the Bible, I'm not, I am. Because I'm like, it's almost like the Bible is kind of like kindergarten when you continue to study spirituality. And when you really get into, I'm sorry, y'all, my son has his friends coming over here. Yes, I'm not trying to. Teenagers. But yeah, it's something else. It is something else. I'm so like, I'm in awe because I did not expect that. I used to think that, oh, God needs me, to judge people. It's just so like understanding that, how energy works. Understanding when these transits come through, the most power that you have is power over yourself, and understanding, because with that incident, with that lady at the doctor's office, at the doctor's office with that Mars transit, oh my God, and it was and I realized with my South Node, I'm just like, I had to be real. I'm just like, this is me, and I'm projecting this. And if you don't have, like, certain people don't have oppositions, certain people don't have squares, and I realize people without oppositions and squares, life works out a bit different with folks without oppositions and squares. Life is just like, it's not the same when you don't have oppositions and squares, because it's almost like because you can't project. I'm not saying that you don't project. However, when you have an opposition and you project, you're gonna get that. When you don't have opposition, you really don't understand how that works. So it's almost like, I don't want to say that you kind of feel like everything revolves around you, or everything is within you, or everything like you're the master of everything, but you kind of do when you don't have that. But when you have an opposition in a square, when you project, and your energy is really projecting, you are gonna like have that in the external environment come back to you. For instance, if you have a moon opposite Saturn, right? And then we're all doing this. However, with sextiles and trines, it's different because you kind of get support, and that's what makes like those of you guys that don't have a lot of oppositions and squares, you guys don't really perceive it like you're kind of like masters of the universe, but it's the truth. when you have powerful energy and when you project that out, something is going to come and reflect that to you. Like, you're going to have that reflected back. And it's so deep because I swear to you, like, this was not, I looked at spirituality very surface level. I'm a Libra sun. I looked at spirituality very surface level. Like, you just like be nice, be good to people. You respect people, but you eat good. So it's almost like with the Christianity, it's just like, okay, well, I felt like, oh, well, I don't want to eat bad. So I just want to eat better and just like elevate a little bit. But with true spirituality, like, it goes way deeper, and it gets basically, from my experience right now, it pretty much puts the responsibility back to you, yourself, and it shows you your own power, first of all. And I have Mercury in the ninth house, so it's hard to logically explain it, but I can explain it like to this point. The power that we have based on our decisions and who we attract and our thoughts, and just you wake up and you're just like, where you may not think, if you're in religion, you may like have a thought like, oh, well, I want to go and do this. You would think about the Bible and be like, well, God says I shouldn't. And so that takes away your power. But when you're in spirituality, when you release, like, seeing that I'm not projecting based on God, and God is not like gonna kill, like, I don't know, put me in hell forever if I'm myself. So it's like, with spirituality, you can be yourself, but the responsibility that comes with that, and people with oppositions and squares, especially oppositions, they can tell you how much that when you project something is going to come forth. And I'm a sun in the eighth house, and that's why I say I have Mercury in the ninth house. So it's hard to explain these things logically. This is something it's going to take me time to try to do, because when it comes to spirituality, words and logic and linguistics, like, I am very adept with reading, writing. I'm a good writer. But what really is going on when you're dealing with emotions and thoughts and inspiration, and when you get around a person and a person gets around you, that's not logic. And I was just messaging someone the other day, because with the whole thing with the feminine masculine thing right now, you cannot read a book if you're old enough and you dated and you socialized, even middle school, high school, a young adult. If you socialize enough, you know that what goes on in the happenings when two people are attracted to each other. There's no book you can read about that. There's just no book. There's no book. That is something that you have to experience. And even with that experience, that you cannot relate that to another experience. You can try to, maybe if that person hurt you, or even if that person treated you great. It's almost like spirituality and the unseen. It doesn't have too much of everything to do with reading a book, or like I thought it was. Like, it's not a logical system. You choose what makes you whole, based on your physical aspect. But it goes way deeper than that. They're just on, the words do explain, because they do make it to the point where I'm seeing creators. Because in my opinion, spirituality is, where I am right now, is taking the responsibility of being a creator and not being a victim. It's a co-creator is what I'll call it. And by creating, I mean everything. Like, being a creator, meaning that, say Christians, and I come from my grandma, my great grandma. I come from a long lineage of Christians. I'm not, but they take responsibility practically. But what I'm saying is that sometimes with Christianity, you kind of get like a well, Christians will say that was the devil. That was the devil that did that. not me. So when it comes to spirituality, it's almost like understanding that the devil, you can look at it. I mean, what I see it as, because it's like what we will call negativity. When you're negative, but negativity doesn't mean that negativity is not valuable. And that's what I think we have. We think that what we call wrong, a decision that we make that may not turn out in our favor, is not valuable. It's almost like spirituality is a checks and balance system where you understand and you realize that no, everything works out within a system, and it works. It's a checks and balance system. It's not a system where everybody going to hell. It's a system where, but you're responsible for what you create. So you can't blame that on Jesus. Real spirituality. You can't blame that on Jesus. However, I don't call it the universe, God, what I'll call the most responsible ancestors that we have, they make you balance out your actions. But they have a lot of grace. As long as you have grace with yourself, though. And that is the challenge, because there's an internal situation that we have going on that is kind of playing now with these transits. and when the transits come through, especially with Pluto and Neptune and these outer planets, and within relationships and ourselves, and as time goes forward with Saturn, and it's like, and you can't trick it. You cannot trick this system that they have set up. You can't trick it because it's inside of you. And it's not logical, but there's a logical component. And with the physical aspect, because you're going to attract your decisions. You're going to attract your decisions. So it's almost like to realize, religion is kind of like kindergarten. And its steps and its levels to it. And I understand why, what they would say, the secret societies, for years, why they would say, oh, they kept the knowledge and whatever. And because the knowledge requires all of us to be responsible for what we create and who we attract into our lives, and accepting the responsibility of desire. And I'm a Venus in Scorpio, and that's been my greatest lesson. Like desire is, that is when desire is honed in, that is when you create. And desire is pleasurable, it feels good, and you kind of are released from the logical faculties. But if you're doing that if you're desiring someone and you're making these connections and you're not taking responsibility, and then you're creating so much, who's going to take responsibility for it? The creation. And I almost feel like that's kind of what's going on right now. It's like, even with the Lucifer or whoever in the Garden of Eden, it's like almost like, okay, we have a lower nature, what they'll call the devil. Christians love to say, the devil made me do it. Oh, but God. And then want to wait for God. But it's almost like, no, but you. Because you decided to, indulge. And there's nothing wrong. And that's why I'm understanding, even with the ancestors or God, or I don't know, because it's not a logical explanation. I've researched. Like, I've studied for every single day for over a decade. And there's no logical explanation for, spirituality or religion. Like in religion, they box it up as God. But the more and more I learn, there's nothing that can be explained for the who is holding us accountable for our decisions to indulge in our desires. If we're not going to hold ourselves accountable, it's crazy. It's something else. Because we're just like, what in the world? But with Mars transiting right now with the South Node, I realized this, with our anger and our passions and our indulgences and things like that. And I'm seeing this. So it's just like, It's not logical. And I'm a Mercury in the ninth house of philosophy, religion, and everything. And I've read so many books. I've looked at tons of videos. I've talked to so many pastors, went to so many churches. There's no logical, and don't none of them have a logical explanation. But it is in full effect. It is in full effect. It is operating, and these transits slowly release to us depending on our charts in astrology. Depending on who we rotate around and who we attract into our lives, and that's the power that we have. And my son is in the eighth house, and now I'm gonna talk about this in terms of power, because this is gonna get deep. But in terms of power, because there's a lot of like gender discussions and things of that nature. But in terms of power, because it's one thing about love, it's almost like love is about indulgence and pleasures, but power is about discipline and how you're going to protect your indulgences and your pleasures, man or woman. Like, it don't matter. What's the difference? And unity is about understanding how to work together. So my thing is, with the responsibility that we have, because it is a responsibility, period. We did not know God ain't the devil, ain't God. No, it's almost like it seems as if our creators are like, if you want to be a creator and you don't want to be a victim, and if you don't want to blame everything on them, just like Adam did, and Eve blamed it on the serpent, but everybody indulging, right? So the serpent lying, Eve eating, Adam, the guy him to help me, he got him someone to help him out, but they never got together and realized, okay, we all made this decision, right? So it's almost like, in terms of indulgence, desire, right, and power, spirituality, religion is about indulging and then blaming the devil. However, spirituality is about understanding that at the end of the day, the devil and God lives inside of yourself. And when you take the power within yourself, and this is something that Scorpios understand, because Scorpio, and I never understood this, and this is why I think that Scorpios get really quiet. Capricorns too understand this. Capricorns and Scorpios understand this more than any other sign. And this is why you rarely hear these two signs like blaming or just like, but they can be ruthless. And they don't feel like, if the minute that a Capricorn and a Scorpio hear another sign blame or be the victim, they instantly lose respect for you. They instantly, like, that's why. And then this is why you have Libra and Tauruses, the pleasurable signs, pleasure, beauty and indulgence. And a lot of Libras are have a lot of leeway in this life. Rarely have to work, like go out. People just pay attention to Libras and Tauruses. They're beautiful, just by nature. They're like this, by nature. They understand who to connect with, just like they're magnetized to who to connect with. That's just how Venus works. But Capricorn and Scorpio, the 10th house of status, control, taking responsibility and stuff, Saturn, responsibility. And the 8th house with Pluto and Mars, about desire though. With Mars, it's about desire. Venus isn't about desire. Venus is about pleasure. But when it comes to Mars, but when you look at Mars, and this is what I even came on here about, Mars will fight though. Mars is Mars will go to war. The men that align, like strong Aries men, strong Scorpio men, these are your infantry guys. Like, it's just like, all right, and they will kill somebody and not think twice. They will go home and go to sleep. And when you think about those archetypes, when you're looking at a Libra and Tauruses, where it's about pleasure and it's about beauty and grace and these things. So this is almost like the desires that you are consuming. And then when you look at when you look at the Scorpio, and when you look at the Aries trait, it's about fighting and actually taking responsibility for that. But fighting for that. And then the archetype with Capricorn is about just saying, yeah, I did it. I did it. And that's what I'm learning through this transit of Mars conjunct my South Node and Libra, by the way, and Libra, because I had to learn this lesson. I had to learn this lesson. Being a Libra Sun, being a Libra Mercury, um, the Sun is in my eighth house, and I've had to learn this, like taking the easy way out and overindulging and with desires, like unless you're willing to fight for them desires, is it worth it really? Like, because pleasures turn into overindulgence, and then those overindulgences, if you're not fighting for them, they're going to destroy you because you ain't got no fight in you. And a lot of Libras and Pisces, because Venus is exalted in Pisces, want to play especially Pisces, want to play the victim, want to escape. And I'm just speaking of the archetype. I'm not saying every Pisces is like this because we all have, multiple planets and multiple signs. I'm speaking in general of the archetypes. Like Pisces, Venus rules the second house of Taurus, the seventh house of Libra, is exalted in the 12th house of Pisces. So by the time Venus get to Pisces, then that energy want to be the victim. Want to be the victim. Oh my God, everybody is, and all this kind of stuff. After you done, it's almost like darn, you done spent all this man money. You done smoked up like all these people drugs. You done ate up all these people food, and you haven't worked for anything. It's because like kind of like what the men are saying with the gender wars. I'm just saying. Because you're beautiful and you're alluring and you're attractive. So you've indulged within all of these pleasures, right? However, when it comes to, and what Saturn represents, commitment, right? Longevity, time, because whatever energy it may be, man or woman, people are not just giving you stuff for nothing. Like people want something in return from you. And by the time Venus gets from Taurus, it then gets to Libra, where Venus can relate to everybody just effortlessly. In Libra, it didn't get to Pisces. Now Venus want to dissolve. It don't want to take no responsibility. Like Venus don't know what's going on. That's why Venus is exalted in Pisces. I'm just like, no, Venus, no. And that's why Venus, the opposite is Mars, and this is where the opposite comes in. And with Mars, because I'm not saying that one is better than the other. It's almost like a balance between both. Because with Mars in Aries, it's about me. It's about me, and I'm gonna fight. Any Aries, I'm gonna fight, and I'm gonna do what I want to do when I want to do it, and I'm gonna shoot. I'll go and work out all day, like these men are telling each other, "Ooh, just go exercise all day," and then you'll get a woman. Then you'll get pleasure. Go work out. So Mars is like, "Oh shoot, I'll work out all day. I don't have to do no." I'm just gonna be fine. And desirable, back to that desire, not pleasure because it's different, but I'm going to be desirable. And then once my body gets to a certain level of desire, where women, because what are they saying, a woman don't respect this or that, but a woman respects men with muscles and all these things, right? So then Mars work out, the hell with responsibilities, the hell with anything. So Mars might not be eating up all the food and drinking up, like the old folks used to say, drinking up all the liquor, but Mars is spending so much time focused on himself in the gym, that just like the military, they have their, system set up with war, where they take these Martians away from their families, from like even their own countries, and they put them in an entirely different country or land or whatever it may be, and they put them into war, fighting. And then these men come back and they have nothing for these men. And these men have fought like years, like their youngest years, kind of like they are fighting their youngest years. using up all their juice. Now, for other men, for the most part, because so then Mars leaves the first house because see, Mars then tore up his body. A lot of football players go through this with tearing up their knees and stuff, and this is the masculine part of the feminine aspect of when you switch from pleasures to desires. So then these with the first house with Aries, okay, so they done tore up their knees, done just tore up everything. So then Mars go to the eighth house with Scorpio with desires, and what they all like with Scorpios, the principle is about sex. It's about passion, it's about strategy, and the little stinger, right? So then Mars get into the Scorpio house, and Scorpios may be a little bit more strategic. So then you don't have the infantry guys that goes front and center with infantry. You have more strategic guys. So this could be, the guys to where these guys are who they call, what I think with the whole like gender war, or are who they call, I think I call them Chads. These guys, fine. You might get them confused with Libras, where they fine. They're having sex with all of these women. They're not like balanced. So they find they're having sex with all these women, and they are full of these dudes are the ones probably in prison that done killed the wife, that the wife done tried them because they done put the time in and the effort in, and the woman done killed. And so they done killed the woman, killed the kids, and all of this. It's an archetype, it's an energy, right? And this is when Mars get to Scorpio because the anger has built up, right? Because Scorpio, unlike Aries, Aries is more what they'll call narcissists. So when you're dealing with Scorpio, Scorpio is a little different because Scorpio is a water sign, so it has the ability to connect, but in a different way. And a lot of Scorpio energies choose to connect and take their power through sex. You will hear a lot of women say that, oh my God, having sex with a Scorpio man, like nobody like drove me nuts like a Scorpio man. These are men, right? Not women, these are men, right? So by the time Mars, because Mars is exalted in Capricorn, so by the time Mars gets to Capricorn, then Mars want to cut off all the passions. Y'all know how Capricorns be. Capricorns just want to don't give a damn about no woman, no kids, no nothing. Capricorns ain't trying to connect but with a dollar. And so Capricorns then pretty much disconnected from Mars, not Capricorn, because it's different with the planets. But Mars is disconnected from himself in Aries, right? In Scorpio, where Mars had the opportunity to take the body and connect deeply with people, but Mars used it on sex because that's what Mars was chasing behind, pussy, right? And then Mars get to Capricorn, and Mars just like, okay, I have a family, but I don't got no passion towards them. I don't have any passion towards anything else but work. And they say that Capricorn is about legacy. And I don't see that. In my own experience, I don't see that with Capricorns. I feel like Mars in Capricorns, nor Sun in Capricorns. It's a little different with moons. But even with Capricorns, when Mars gets into Capricorn, it's about work. And it is about detaching from the desires. It's about detaching from, in terms of, honestly, the body outside of money and resources. And with Aries, it was about the body. It was about the physicality. It was about, like going out there in the world and just shining. That's why the sun is exalted in the first house. It was about the self. It wasn't about, not exchanging yourself and passions for a dollar with Aries. A lot of times Aries, they get into good situations because a lot of times Aries are so self-focused and they are so self-contained that they struggle with getting along with anyone telling them what they can and cannot do. Capricorns will absolutely get along with anyone that will pay them a dollar. They would get along, Mars, especially Mars and Capricorn. And in the sun too. Sorry, y'all. It's the truth. Depending on the aspect, but for the most part. So Mars and Venus, right? Although Mars is the masculine principle and Venus is the feminine principle, they're up to the same thing. One is pleasure and one is desire. But they're up to the same thing. If it's not balanced, destruction. Creating. Sex, indulging and all these things. And that's why Saturn comes through. And that's why I understand people, astrologers, be like, oh my God, Saturn is this, Saturn is that. No, Saturn comes through because Saturn is just like, oh no. Just like, your parents will tell you, oh, you got to clean up this mess that you made. You are not about to come through here and mess up my house and mess up all these things and then think that you just going to leave. You're talking about the party's over. No. No, you're not doing that. You're going to clean up this mess. And this is what I see between, and I like to make connections, but this is what a lot's going on between this gender war. It's almost like when you really look at things, and spiritually speaking, and you're non-biased, when you've had experiences with both genders, and you're real enough to understand that you've done both. You done played both. Like, what human have not fulfill their pleasures and their desires? Now, I'm not saying that some haven't, because some people are polarized. Some people do have a stellium in Virgo or stellium in, so I'm talking about, for the most part, who do not indulge in either side, pleasures or passions. And it seemed like to me that's what be getting us caught up, and that's what we be paying for by the time we become a certain age. Like, it's almost like that's what we're trying to have religion for. That's what we're attempting to get in order, even with our children. It is our lower nature. That's the saying for it. It's our lower nature. And but that's a part of life. And at one time, even within my own spiritual journey, I wanted to detach. Remember, y'all, the detach from the ego. Oh my God, release the ego. Oh, release the ego. Oh my God, the ego is so evil. And like, they have this narcissist whole thing going on right now. Release the ego. The ego is evil. It's about love and light and all these things, right? And it's like, no, it's about taking responsibility for ourselves, right? And not, I ain't gonna get on Saturn. I'm gonna come through with Saturn on another, because I don't want to but it's almost like when the transits come through, especially the sun, especially a big transit like this, where we have the sun there, we have Mars there, we have the South Node there, and we have these big transits. Anyone who is not being real with themselves and doing self-development, self-care, being real. It's just like, if you're not being real, that when you're going out every day is not the same. So if you're not being a student every day and paying attention to your engagements with people, and this is what I feel like you're getting into the driver's seat, and you're understanding, okay, my thoughts do produce something, because if I'm in a bad mood or whatever, and I'm thinking negatively, somebody is going to be one way, or I'm going to feel some type of way or something. My thoughts impact something in my life. My thoughts impact something in my life. And my emotions tend to support my thoughts. If my thoughts go a certain way, my emotions support them, right? And then over time, if I get caught up with my thoughts and my emotions, I will want to escape them through a desire, through some type of pleasure. And a lot of people are like, oh my God, I've been doing this all week. I just don't want to deal with it. And then go and do something. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't judge. Because I realize, like, Earth is about in experiencing pleasure. Earth is about experiencing desires. It's a part of life. Enjoying and feeling is what makes life, in my opinion, worth living. It's when we don't take responsibility for that that we don't be like, oh my God, I'm just gonna kill myself, and oh my God, I want to, like, I don't want to be here no more. It's just like, no, you wanted to be here when you was having fun. Like, no, don't not want to be here when these, you know what I'm saying, consequences come through. And I'm not saying that some people are predisposed. It is. I'm not even gonna get into past lives and things of that nature, because there are, belief systems with past lives and stuff, where it's almost like if you come through with a certain chart, you got a stellium, and it's like aspected just really harshly, where you da came bad, you da came through on a rough ride from your past life. But regardless on if it's this life or the past life, regardless on what, you still got to take responsibility to change it. And that is when I think that we get into the creator seat, and this is how we become responsible. And this is why Saturn is so deep. This is why Saturn is so deep, so raw. And this is why Saturn gives us basically our authority first within ourselves. And over time, because Saturn is about time. But once we take that authority, but with the other planets too, not with Saturn, because some Aquarius, Capricorn, stelliums get lost, honey, in authority and things. Stelliums, I'm sorry, y'all. Any stelliums, I'm not hating. I do feel like stelliums kind of get lost a little bit, and they get lost in their own energy and think that whatever sign that they have a stellium in, that is what everyone's life need to be about. They need to lay down the law. They really don't have a bird's eye view. You got to watch out for these people. In your family, watch out from with these people who you work with, especially your children, and expose your children, because it's easier to influence a child to be more well-rounded when they're a kid versus when they're an adult. But when you're dealing with stelliums and stuff, and Saturnian stelliums, they are going to be like fully Saturnian. So if you connect with these people and you like get close to these people, they can influence you. And then you might have other planets where you wouldn't have to go through that if you didn't connect with that stellium, a Mercury stellium in a certain sign, Gemini. They might have you gossiping and getting into issues in your neighborhood with neighbors and stuff that you wouldn't go through by yourself. You know what I'm saying? Even the Libra stellium, they'll have you like getting into stuff with their spouse because they want to cheat. It gets deep. Especially when certain transits come through. And this is what I realized with the Mars transit on my South Node. Like, I did not even like truly understand. And I had to learn that, especially since, because Saturn is in my second house now, that a lack of boundaries and being too nice is just as like not beneficial as being harsh and cruel to people. If you allow cruel people to be cruel to you, you're in the same position as the cruel person. Like, you don't get like some type of, fan card or reward card. If you sit there, then that's another Pisces victim. You know how they be like Pisces, the sacrifice and stuff. And that's basically what I'm recognizing, because I'm a North Node in Aries. And I'm a Libra Sun, Libra Mercury, Jupiter and Pisces, a lot of feminine energy. I don't get no getaway free card, and me thinking that I can nice my way out of my responsibilities. And Mars showed me like, yeah, anger is necessary. Like, you're gonna have to get tough. And not just like in a survivalistic point where you're put, like that video that I made with the Mercury square Mars, where I go through and I'm experiencing certain environments, and then Jupiter get me out because my mom would move, or like they'll just, because I'm blessed with the Jupiter, because Jupiter will like come through and put me in another environment, and I detach from my anger to be pleasant. And this Mars transit has shown me like, no, you can't do that. Like, your anger is a part of you. Just like Saturn. Some say you have someone with a Cancer stellium. they may feel like, family is everything, even if family is terrible for them, and a certain transit to come through. And if they have a Capricorn North Node, Saturn the conjunct North Node, and something will happen, and all they will become aware that all of their family is not meaning them any good. Somebody rob them. Somebody, I'm not going to wish. I'm just seeing like something negative will happen, and this is kind of like what happened with the Mars situation at the doctor's office the other day. Just a random girl, and I almost felt like I'm just like, so I don't know where Mars is in your chart. If you have what house you have your North Node in, but this Mars conjunction to the south, not the south, North Node, excuse me, the South Node. This Mars conjunction to the South Node is significant. Even if you don't have planets in Libra, I guarantee you what house Mars is in right now, I guarantee you that that's a situation in life that you're avoiding and you're having issues with, that you're not understanding. You might be like, dang, and you're not paying attention. Like, dang, what is going on? Go and look at your chart and look at what house Mars is conjunct the South Node, what house you have a Libra in, and then sit down and pay attention to, okay, what Libras around you, with your family, at work. Shoot, you might be married to a Libra spouse. Kids, are they like acting different? Are you having conflict with these people? And this is how deep that astrology gets. Like, these transits don't play. Like, there's no type of like la la land, like with religion, where it used to be, where it's all in your mind. With religion, you have to have like an imagination and things of that nature. With religion and certain faiths, you just do. With astrology, it's very practical. It's spiritual, but it is very practical. Astrology is the most spiritual and practical system that I've ever disciplined myself to follow in within my whole life. It's very disciplined, and I haven't gotten into like purposeful magic. That's like, I haven't gotten into that, because a lot of people will say that. I haven't gotten into tarot. Astrology is sufficient, because I've always been into people. I'm a Libra. I've always been into people, and that's what made me a believer, because I'm engaging and I'm seeing the transits play out. Even my chart with all them squares and oppositions, and even with my Libra energy, I'm seeing how Libras finesse. I'm seeing, and I look at certain Libras that without squares and oppositions, I see why they winning right now, and I see how Venus operate with Martians. I see why Martians dominate. And even with Saturnians, I see why they're stable. Like, it's practical, and that is why I feel secure in terms of a spiritual system with astrology, because it's almost like you can't deny it. If you're, because we do doubt, certain people doubt, and they'll say that, but I've even noticed that most people believe in astrology. Like, if you go around the world, and if you, any culture, Asian, European, African, American, any culture, right, and you ask them in whatever language, there's an astrological system that they're just like, oh, I'm this, I'm that, in whatever language. And and this is why I've accepted that where I am right now. To astrology is pretty universal. I can rock with it. These transits real, so I can rock with the transits as well. And it's something else. Y'all hear me? What y'all think? What y'all think? We have two people in here. Who in here? What y'all think? It is real, honey. Like, I'm just like, in this Mars transit, I'm like, I would have ended up in jail. I'm like, oh my God. And that's what just shows me how Mars be. But it also shows me how much, like, when you're polarized and you're not fully functional And sometimes we can operate in a certain house or a certain sign. If we have favor in certain planets or houses, we can operate in that and may not understand how we're losing out on other aspects of life because we may not have planets there. And when transits come through, we're not even experiencing the fullness of that transit, regardless of what we call it, negative, positive. What it is about is, riding the flow and then understanding that every day is magic. I'm not saying that like people shouldn't write down, whatever magic, it's systems of magic, but every day is magic, baby. Like every single day is magic as long as you are aware that you're responsible for being a creator from the time that you wake up to what you wear to the people that you talk to. If you're paying attention and you're receiving and you're understanding what's going on, you will see the magic. And then you pay attention to the transits, and then you pay attention to your chart, and then you see your benefic aspects, and you'll see that these same people, you may have positive aspects from Jupiter. Sagittarius. Sagittariuses are going to be beneficial for you. These Sagittariuses are going to be the ones that come into your life, going to offer you to travel. They're going to offer you to travel. And here's the thing, this is what Saturn can do sometimes. Like, you can doubt that and just feel like, oh, I don't deserve, like, why would this person, like, why is this? Because some people do, especially like Capricorn moons, Scorpio moons, because the moon is debilitated in the Capricorn and Scorpio. I ain't gonna say Virgo moons. So it then say you have a Venus in Virgo, say you have a Venus in Scorpio, say you have a Jupiter in Virgo. So if you have debilitated placements that kind of you struggle with faith, it's going to kind of be a struggle for you because you need logical reasoning. But I realize with even my Mercury in the ninth house, the way this operates is not based on logic. It's just not. It's not based on logic. Like other aspects of life is based on logic. I'm not saying that logic is not applicable in life. Pardon me, but spirituality and astrology and the way we come from power, baby. We come from power, and it's not logical, and that's why if you have a certain aspect, a Sagittarius to come into your life and bring faith, and then you may judge that Sagittarius, you may judge that Pisces, but they'll always bring good to your life, regardless of what. And this is how you know that it's accurate. They will bring good to your life. There is going to be something that you're experiencing, and these people are going to come through, and you will see. And I have to look at your chart in order to tell you exactly what signs to look out for, but it's real. It's real. It's real. So I'm gonna let y'all go. Thank you for tuning in and watching me, checking me out. 7, hit me up. Hit me up and we'll connect, all right? Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And thank y'all. Peace.